In this movie, we're going to look at a new feature in After Effects CS3 that will allow us, using the text animation system in After Effects, to animate characters on a 3D axis per character. Now, this is one of those things that on the surface seems pretty cool, but when you start mastering this, there is so much that you can do. I predict that this will be one of those features that at first people kind of embrace, and then they'll start doing some amazing jaw-dropping things with it, such as the case of per-character 3D text. So let's jump into this. I have this text here called Intergalactic. You won't find this in your exercise folders. You can just make text that says Intergalactic or whatever you want to say. There's so many issues with like fonts and stuff like that when you're passing around exercise files, so I didn't want you to have to deal with that. So just take this and make whatever you want to say. And I'm going to open up my text here, and I'm going to animate, let's say, position. And notice that this is the standard 2D position, X and Y only. But here's where the magic comes. I'm going to go back up to animate. And at the very top, they've added this Enable Per Character 3D. If we click that, you'll notice a few things. Number one, Z has been added to our position property here. Also, this layer has this weird semi-pseudo 3D icon here. So it's letting us know that this layer is 3D because there's 3D text on it, essentially. If we open up the transform for the layer, you'll notice that this is 3D. We have 3D scale, 3D orientation, 3D position, etc. So now, as we animate this, we can move these characters back or forward in 3D space. Z-axis obviously being the first one initially to play with because it's really cool as we move things in 3D space. Now as I move my range selector here, things are now moving, again as you can see, in 3D space. Now as I go down to my transform area and move this in Y rotation, you can see that we have some really interesting stuff going on here. So now as I scrub the start value, we're getting something really exciting here. So keep in mind that you can rotate each character in its own 3D axis. This opens up many doors of possibility. Here's another thing you could do with this text. Maybe I can go back to my text, hit Control-A here, Command-A on the Mac to select all the text, and maybe I can use all asterisks, and maybe I can animate them all over the screen, just flying around in 3D space, like a hail of asterisks. Or maybe I can create some really techie dashes here. Let's keep making a million dashes. Let's click this to accept that. Now as I change this in Z space, we have some really wacky stuff going on here. Let's change the rotation here so that we're seeing this. And look at that. I don't know what that is, but I like it. Now let's go ahead and let's try Fast Blur, a particle system's best friend. Now close paragraph here. Let's add Fast Blur to this. Blur these. And now we have something that's starting to look kind of like a particle system. Now if we went into Advanced and changed the shape, maybe to round, or to smooth, we'd have a few extra particles there. It'd be a little bit more smooth. Look at that. That is so cool. And because it's totally 3D, we could play around and animate these different rotation options, which will kind of appear to be like a 3D camera growing around here. This is just awesome. Again, one of those features that seems kind of cool on the surface, but once you delve a little bit deeper, there are a lot of possibilities. Speaking of possibilities, up next we're going to talk about the all-important lights and cameras in 3D.